Sonic Frontiers The Final Horizon releases very soon, and to say I'm hyped would honestly be an understatement. At this point, I'm reaching Fidel Gamescom levels of hype, which I'm not entirely sure is a good thing. But regardless, I think this update to Sonic Frontiers has a really good chance of putting it into the top 5 for me. I really enjoyed Sonic Frontiers, and if Update 2 added more replayability with the momentum and extra challenges, then I think Update 3, The Final Horizon, has the opportunity to perfect Sonic Frontiers. So of course, other than being super hyped, I have a lot of predictions for what might happen during this new story and how it might end up being the true ending for the story of Sonic Frontiers. First of all, I have to go over the new playable characters. It's been forever since we've had an actually somewhat different gameplay style in a Sonic game, and I say somewhat different because the Avatar and Classic Sonic are pretty much just regular Sonic gameplay, but as a different character. With this new update, we're getting a playable Tails, Knuckles, and Amy for the first time in a very long time. And before I get into how I think they might fit into the story, I'd like to speculate on some of their gameplay first. Real quick though, I know there was an apparent leak going around that went over the story for this update, and I'm absolutely not going to be talking about that at all, because I myself haven't even looked at it. I'm still here to get surprised too. I may know a lot in terms of news, but story spoilers are going a bit too far for me. Now that being said, I did end up catching a glimpse of some gameplay spoilers that were left in when Update 2 came out, particularly some animations of Knuckles, Tails, and Amy, and I'm not going to show them just because I don't think they're really that important. But also, the only reason they were really spoilers is because they confirmed that Tails, Knuckles, and Amy would be the actual playable characters added in Update 3, which has now been officially confirmed with a new prelude animation that was posted. Okay, so long tangent over, onto what I think the gameplay for these characters might be. Again, this is a prediction video, so everything here is speculation. According to the description of the prelude trailer, this new Final Horizon story rewrite takes place just before the final battle on Oranos Island, which means that these new playable characters might only be playable on Oranos Island. I don't think it'd be a huge stretch to make them playable on the other islands too, but in terms of the story and platforming on other islands, I'm not sure how well they'd work on them. The other thing the description mentions is that Amy, Knuckles, and Tails will be the ones searching for the Chaos Emeralds instead of Sonic, so I'm guessing this will probably mean either some drastic changes to the puzzles and gameplay on Oranos Island, or potentially a complete remake of it to fit these new characters' gameplay styles. Either that, or they all control exactly the same as Sonic, which might be nice for consistency, but also I think each character having a different moveset would greatly improve their addition to the game. Zeroing in on the specific characters now, I think it's pretty safe to assume that Amy will mostly be taking advantage of her Pico Pico hammer. Is it still called that? I hope it's still called that. And if each character has full combat movesets like Sonic, then I would hope for a bunch of different ways in which Amy uses her hammer to destroy enemies. As for how she might actually play, I think having her be slower than Sonic's top speed, but maybe giving her more jumps, similar to how she is in Sonic Superstars, could be different enough, but also I'd like to see what else they have in store for Amy. For Tails, I'm gonna bet that he'll be all in on his technology. He's wielding some kind of gun-shaped weapon in this teaser image, but aside from that, there's really no telling what other kind of tech he could have. Give him some deployable turrets that he can set up, maybe drones that automatically attack enemies around him, or maybe he even learns how to tap into the tech of the Ancients and can control his own Titan like Sage does in the original final battle of Sonic Frontiers. There's really a ton of different things that they could give Tails for his combat moveset, and I have hope that he might be the most fun to play around with. In terms of his general movement, he'll probably be similar to Sonic in running speed, with of course the ability to fly. Although I'm not sure how broken that would be in terms of the platforming challenges in the open zone, so it might be tied to some sort of attack, or possibly a boost meter to limit his flying a bit. Knuckles is the biggest wildcard here out of the group, because if there really is going to be a new moveset for each character, then I think he has the best potential for attacks out of anyone. I mean, he's literally the power character in Sonic Heroes, and they could even get some attacks from that game to fill out his moveset. I'm hoping for moves like his Drill Dive in Sonic Adventure, big area damage waves like in Sonic Heroes, and just a ton of different punches. Basically, he can be like Sonic, except instead of kicking and spin dashing, he just punches everything non-stop. I expect him to also have his ability to glide, just like Tails with his flying, and of course the wall climbing too, which could be super helpful and allow for some pretty unique and fun open zone challenges that utilize it. Overall, while it may be asking a bit too much, I'd really love to see all these characters with fully fleshed out movesets playable on each island, or at the very least, playable in the open zone of Oranos Island. I really hope they aren't just playable in some weird cyberspace levels, because I think there's a ton of potential for them in the open zone. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. I could see it going either way, honestly. They appear to be in cyberspace in some images, and in others look completely normal. Also, Tails using a gun in cyberspace would be kinda weird if it was just a normal, traditional Sonic level, but I guess I can't really rule it out entirely. Now for some speculation and predictions of the actual story of the Final Horizon. This part is gonna get pretty crazy, and I'm expecting to be completely wrong here, but speculation is pretty fun, and who knows, I could hit the nail right on the head with some of these theories here. First, I need to go over the description of that prelude video again, so here we go. Before the final battle on Oranos Island, Sage reconsiders an unlikely scenario amongst her millions of simulations. With the assistance of Sage and Dr. Eggman, Sonic sets this new plan into motion and accepts the challenge of converting the cyber corruption into a vast, previously untapped power source. Meanwhile, Amy, Knuckles, and Tails seek to do their part and begin searching for the Chaos Emeralds on Sonic's behalf. So it seems like Sonic will be mostly out of the picture here for this one. Or maybe you'll have to do some cyberspace levels with him so that you can convert the cyber corruption into the power source. That way the cyberspace levels on Oranos aren't just completely gone, because to be honest, those were kind of the best ones in the game. Now the actual story here will take place before the actual end of Sonic Frontiers, because I don't think this is happening after Sonic and Sage have already defeated the end. But I say that because I'm not entirely sure where exactly this will take place in-game, but I do have a couple ideas. The first way I could see this story playing out is right after Rhea Island when Sonic gets corrupted and Eggman agrees to team up with him. That's when Sage and Sonic decide to go through with the cyber corruption conversion, so essentially, this final horizon just completely replaces the original Oranos Island, and the new story plays out from there. I think that's a possibility, but I also have another theory on when it might actually take place. The wording for the description here says, before the final battle on Oranos Island. So maybe the game still plays as normal up until the very end once you beat Supreme. Then instead of going onto the end, if you're on hard mode, that's when this extra story kicks in and takes place. I don't know how much I really like this theory, because I think this new story taking place before Sonic gets to Oranos would make more sense in terms of the story, but I also don't know how willing Sonic Team is to just completely remove and redo all of Oranos Island to fit the new characters and story. So in terms of actual game development, I could see this one being the way the story plays out, just so that they can keep everything they've already worked on. But then again, this update does say to rewrite your story, so honestly, I don't really know when this might take place. But like I said, what I do know is that it definitely isn't after the original end of Frontiers, because that wouldn't make any sense since Sage is involved, and so is the end. Aside from when I think the story will actually take place though, we know that Tails, Knuckles, and Amy will be the ones collecting the Chaos Emeralds on Sonic's behalf. So either Sonic is trapped in cyberspace due to the corruption, or he's meditating to help convert the corruption or something. For whatever reason, Sonic isn't here collecting the emeralds. The Prelude trailer has some interesting dialogue, particularly from Amy and Tails. Amy in the trailer says, "Do you know what happened to the Chaos Emeralds?" I'm not really sure why she's asking that question, but I think she's either talking about the ones that she's helping to find on Oranos, or, given that she appears to be on Kronos in the trailer, it could just be additional dialogue that she says to Sonic at the beginning of the game. Tails, on the other hand, has something that potentially could be more interesting. He says that every time he interacts with cyberspace, he gets more corrupted. Now if we follow the same things that I just said about Amy, either this takes place on Oranos, or it's new dialogue that he says to Sonic on Chaos Island. I don't really think it would make much sense for him to be saying that on Chaos Island, because he's already trapped in cyberspace then, so I'm not sure how he would be getting more corrupted by it. Which means that it must be dialogue from the new story. But then Amy's dialogue must also be from the new story too. So what exactly is Amy referring to when she asks what happened to the Chaos Emeralds? I'm either way overanalyzing here, and she's just asking a simple question, or there may be something even bigger at play here. So allow me to expand a bit and go off into the deep end for a minute. We know from the first teaser trailer for this update that Super Sonic has some kind of new form. Maybe not a permanent new form, but it definitely isn't just normal Super Sonic that's being seen. I know a lot of people have been saying it's Super Sonic 2, and yeah, that's funny, and I do love the art that's coming from it, but I think what's actually being seen here is some kind of cyber-enhanced Super Sonic. Remember, Sonic is transforming the cyber corruption into a power source here, but where does that power go? Into the Chaos Emeralds. I think this dialogue from Amy takes place right after Sonic transforms the cyber corruption into a power source, and something happens to the Chaos Emeralds. Maybe they get cyber corrupted or something, so that's why she's asking, do you know what happened to the Chaos Emeralds? Now that's just a wild theory, but honestly I think it kinda fits pretty well, and it also lines up with being dialogue from the Final Horizon, not just something she says on Kronos. So I think I kinda cooked here with that theory. It's not super important, but figuring things out based on dialogue is kinda neat to do. I also went over Supersonic 2, which, like I said, I think is actually Cyber Supersonic. No way is Sega allowing there to be another permanent Sonic transformation, but I think the temporarily cyber-powered Supersonic here does look pretty awesome. And that's really all I have to speculate on for Sonic Frontiers: The Final Horizon. This update has a ton of potential to fix the end of the game, and turn it from being a great Sonic game into an amazing one. Everything from the gameplay of the new characters, when the new story takes place, and Cyber Supersonic has me extremely hyped, and I will absolutely be playing this update day one. And I'm gonna have a video out on it as soon as I possibly can. Thanks for sticking around until the end of the video. I have to say, I've really been enjoying making these YouTube videos, and it seems like you all are too. I haven't properly thanked you all in video form yet for 100,000 views on my How Sonic Frontiers Redeemed Itself video, and also for 650 subscribers, so thank you for the immense support. I want to keep this channel going, and with that, I hope you'll leave a like if you enjoyed, maybe even subscribe too, and I'll see you next time.